Another week, boys, and another TWAB. Now, before we get into it, we want to take a moment to reiterate, talk about the commitment we made as a company earlier this week in response to the leaked draft decision by the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. Standing up for reproductive choice and liberty is not a difficult decision to make, and we remain dedicated to upholding these values. You can read our full statement here. Now, this week at Bungie, the third annual Guardian Games have begun. Welcome back, sport fans. The Guardian Games have commenced, and Warlocks have taken the lead, but it's still early in the 3-week competition, and it's anyone's game. The tower is looking spiffy, with decorations up and the spirit of competition in the air. There are adventures to be had and rewards to be won. Are you pumped yet? Titans, I don't know what's going on, fellas. I mean, y'all gotta pick it up. We are getting slaughtered right now. I will say, though, the decorations this year for Guardian Games, the lighting the torches on the different platforms, it really is pretty cool looking. Now, on top of the overall class versus class main event, we have also assembled a friendly out-of-game competition between fire teams of Guardians from across the globe. We have creators from 14 territories representing their favorite class and competing for glory in the Guardian Games Cup. That's right, guys. You probably saw us doing it the other day. We'll have a stream highlight on it, but essentially, Titans versus Warlocks versus Hunters. We're given a 2-hour block each week, and whoever collects the most medals after those 3 weeks wins the competition. And whichever team wins, they get to choose a Destiny 1 exotic to bring back. Nah, I'm just joking. But on a real note, man, we would be going all out for those medals. Twilight Garrison? Hell yeah! Now, Guardian Games gift shop. Want to commemorate your epic domination during this year's Guardian Games? Then we have some cool opportunities through Bungie Rewards. Now, whether you're Team Hunter, Titan, or Warlock, you can celebrate your individual accomplishments during the games with the opportunity to purchase a Guardian Games tankard if you light 2 platinum torches. Anyone who lights 4 platinum torches can purchase a Guardian Games medal. Oh, looky there. Now, 9,000 words was not enough for Master Raul. The TWAB before last was a mega ultra chunker. Even with thousands of words on the weapon changes coming in Season 17, questions still remain. The team has been reading through your responses online and wanted to answer a few questions as well as clear up a few bits of confusion. So starting with global, flinch resistance. How does flinch resistance work? Flinch resistance directly scales the angle your aim moves by when you take damage. So if you have 60% flinch resistance and you would normally be flinched 10 degrees, you would now be flinched 4 degrees. Ah, okay. So 60% of the 10 degrees. Now the flinch calculations show 1 unflinching hand cannon mod and 2 unflinching pulse rifle mods, both total a 0.7 times flinch multiplier. Was this a typo? Yes, this was a typo. Sorry about that. We fixed it. Now what is a scalar? When we say scalar, we mean multiplier. For example, a 0.65 times scalar on flinch will multiply flinch by 0.65. Now, what are the scalars for some common flinch resistance sources? No distractions, 0.65. Suro Synergy, 0.8. 1 unflinching aura mod, 0.75. 2 unflinching aura mods, 0.7. This value is used instead of multiplying 2 unflinching mod values together. Rally Barricade, 0.5. 10 Resilience, 0.9. 100 Stability on auto rifles, 0.75. 100 Stability on sniper rifles, 0.9. And given the importance of stability for flinch resistance, do you plan to adjust the stability stats for any weapons? We may adjust stability on specific weapons if we see clear outliers in the future. All right, so having high resilience, huge, right? A ginormous scalar. Sura Synergy, also huge. And then of course, combine that with the stability of your weapon. I think the main thing is, I know they're giving us scalar values here, but the main thing about flinch is the ability to combat it, and overall flinch for primary weapons will be reduced. And then flinch for special weapons, especially sniper rifles, will be increased. And this is obviously a way for Bungie to go after mouse and keyboard users who've been able to get away with weapons with literally no stability. Take SMGs for instance, right? Dude, we can run multi-mac with Iron Reach, no stability whatsoever, and have no issues landing shots even from a distance. Now you're gonna take increased flinch though. Now, Airborne Effectiveness. Can Airborne Effectiveness penalty take you below 0 in the stat? No, Airborne Effectiveness stat cannot go below 0 or above 100. The same is true of all weapon and character stats. Now, the tiers in the Mega TWAB were just general examples of performance within range. Every point in a weapon stat will count, although a single point won't typically be perceptible. In most cases, there is a linear progression from 0 to 100 stat, an exception being accuracy penalty and its angle on primary weapons, which is linear from 0 to 60, but flat from 60 to 100. All right, so this is in regards to just the accuracy penalty angle. You're still gonna get benefits from going to 100, right? Like to me, the sweet spot is gonna be somewhere around like 80, right? Now, how does Airborne Effectiveness interact with accuracy perks. Technically, accuracy perks like opening shot apply to your airborne accuracy cone as before. But because accuracy while airborne is generally better than it was before, you'll feel the benefits a little less. So some nerfs going out to perks that target accuracy. Opening shot, under pressure, tap the trigger. Again, still noticeable, but like it says right there, just a little less so. Now, can you clarify precision aim assist? When grounded and aiming down sights, the full aim assist cone angle is used to determine whether a shot is a crit or a body shot. When airborne or hip firing, by default, you only get a crit if you're aiming exactly at the head. Now, while airborne, the Airborne Effectiveness stat grants you some forgiveness for this in the form of the precision aim cone, hence the 60+ in Airborne Effectiveness. We have a graphic to help illustrate all of this. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 being on the low end of that Airborne Effectiveness, 2 being mid-tier, 3 probably being what, 60 or getting close to 60, and 4 60 and plus, if I'm perceiving this correctly. It's very similar to like almost like bloom, right? It's like jumping up, your weapon accuracy blooms out. Now key, grounded, crit. Your aim assist cone overlaps the head, but you're not aimed right at it. You get a crit. Airborne stat, 0 stat, body shot. Your aim assist cone overlaps the head, but the center of your reticle is not on the head, and you get a body shot. Airborne 60 stat, body shot. Your aim assist cone overlaps the head. Your precision aim cone does not overlap the head, and you still get a body shot. Airborne 60 stat, crit. Your aim assist cone overlaps the head. Your precision aim cone overlaps the head. You get a crit. Aim assist cone, center point, precision aim cone, head target, body target. All right, whatever. No lie, like this could have been laid out a little better, fellas. I'm having a hard time digesting what I'm seeing in terms of what the hell these graphs and pictures mean. Obviously, the more airborne effectiveness stat you have, the better, guys. That's really what it boils down to. It will be another stat we're gonna have to sit there and juggle. Now, can you give more details on how aim assist is affected while airborne? Now, the term aim assist has 2 parts. Auto aim, aka bullet bending, bullet magnetism angle. If a target falls inside this cone, your projectile will aim at the target before the effects of the accuracy cone. This applies equally to mouse and keyboard and controller. Now, reticle friction and adhesion. Friction slows down your aim when a target is within this cone, and adhesion can pull your aim to stay on the target if they move while you're aiming. This is only turned on for controllers. Now, in the live game, both angles are halved while airborne. In Season 17, though, these cones are still halved as before and have additional penalty angles that subtracted from this, depending on the airborne effectiveness stat. And here are the numbers. At 0 stat, auto aim, angle penalty is roughly half of the cone angle. Friction adhesion, angle penalty is roughly a quarter of the cone angle. In internal playtests, we found that controller players were more affected by this penalty and halved it. Now, 100 stat, both cones. Angle penalty is 0. That is, at 100, the auto aim and friction cones for most weapons will be the same as they are in the live game. I feel like we're gonna have to go through this a couple more times, guys. Really, what it's gonna boil down to, at least for me, the more and more I read on this stuff, the more I'm just like, yo, I'm gonna have to just play with it, just see how it feels. Because we'll be able to tell immediately going into the next sandbox. Like as soon as the next season fires up and we have airborne effectiveness stats, and of course these changes to flinch, we're gonna know immediately after a gunfight what feels different and what doesn't. Like all stats though, there is gonna be a sweet spot for the most part, and it probably is gonna change archetype to archetype. Now, Scavenger perk changes. Are all scavenger mods disabled in PvP, or only special weapon scavenger mods? All are disabled. Now, with disabling ammo scavenger mods in PvP, are you trying to bring back the double primary meta? No, we don't want running double primaries to be more viable and want there to be fewer one-hit kills in PvP, but don't want to eliminate them entirely. You still spawn with 2 rounds of special ammo or equivalent and still pick up ammo bricks, but you shouldn't be able to use special weapons like a primary. One interesting side effect may be an indirect buff to the strategy of running double primary to starve your opponents of special ammo drops. Dude, knowing most of the apes that I know, people are just gonna die just to spawn with more special. Now, are special ammo weapons, effectiveness, and ammo changes enough to reduce their dominance in PvP? Short-range primary weapons will have more of a role now. Sidearms and SMGs can better compete with shotguns, for example. We've pushed the current PvP ammo system as far as we can with this change. If this doesn't move the needle, we'll look at redesigning PvP ammo economy entirely, which would be a longer-term change. Oh boy. All right, so what they're talking about right there is going back to what they did in D1, which was no special ammo, and you actually had to pick it up from crates. And this ultimately nerfed special ammo completely inside of trials. I hope we don't get to that point. Please, for the love of God, let this be the one and only fix we need and we're done. Now, with scavenger mods disabled in PvP, there's little competition for leg mod slots. What's the plan? We're keeping this in mind for future updates, but for now, we recommend you run holster mods. Well, can we just reset the cost of scavenger mods? Like now that scavenger mods are removed from PvP, and the original design for why scavenger mods were increased in their cost was directly tied more to PvP. I know they said it was for PvE as well, but regardless, could we see a reduction in that cost? boss. Now, other changes. Will playlist weapons that have a foundry get both the foundry and playlist origin perks? Yes, new drops of playlist weapons that are from a foundry will get playlist and the foundry perks, and we do have a refresh of that coming next season. Now, what do the changes to snapshot sights mean? Now, snapshot works by multiplying the aim down sight animation duration by 0.5, which you could frame as making it twice as fast. Now, in special weapons, it will now scale this duration by 0.75, making it 50% faster instead. So instead of it being twice as fast, it'll just be 50% faster. Am I getting that right? Note that we framed this as being completely offset by the sniper rifle ADS duration changes, but this was incorrect. While sniper rifles will be snappier across the board, a sniper rifle with snapshot sights will be a little slower to aim down sights than before. So yeah, in the previous TWABs, they said that snapshot will essentially perform exactly how it performs now, but it's very obvious here this is a nerf, aka they want you off a snapshot, fellas. Find another perk, which by the way, we're going to be talking about more going into this next season. Probably a week before the next season, we'll break down some sniper rifles to really look out for. Now, weapon archetypes. Does the lightweight pulse rifle damage buff apply to the BXR 55 Battler pulse rifle? Yes, the lightweight pulse rifle buff applies to the BXR 55 and any exotic weapons that share that rate of fire. Fantastic. That is something that I was wondering too. We did a recent review on Ogma, and by the way, lightweights are looking pretty juicy for next season, but the juiciest will be the BXR Battler, which we're going to re-review here pretty soon in preparation for the next sandbox. And I do want to talk about that a little more due to things like blunt execution rounds, the increase in damage, the overall forgiveness being upped. Long story short, BXR, if you don't have a god roll of it, get one. Now, is Retrace Path getting the trace rifle buff? Yes. Are slug shotguns also getting the pellet shotgun nerfs? Slug shotguns receive the damage fall off and aim assist fall off changes. Slug shotguns don't have spread angle, but are treated like special weapons and have an airborne accuracy penalty. Yeah, if it's anything like Chaperone, it'll be pretty much zero, right? Like they made sure Chaperone had no love when you went into there. Now, are there any changes to aggressive, aka fusion rifles? No, they're not affected by any of the fusion rifle tunings. Now, you're probably wondering, aggressives, what are they talking about? We have, at least in my knowledge, only one aggressive frame fusion rifle in the game, and that is Coriolis Force. I wish it was good. We have never reviewed it. And normally if we don't review a weapon, it's because I think it's bad, okay? Like any weapon in the game, you can type it and then type our name, and you will 9 times out of 10 pull up a review from us, but Coriolis Force is just not good. On top of that, Bungie's not even buffing it. Now, do all SMGs benefit from the damage fall off increase? Yes, although of course there are some nerfs, hence things like Shiora and Multimac are both getting nerfs next season. Now, do all SMGs with lower than 14 zoom now have 14? No, only those listed in the TWAB have been raised to 14. So things like Stochastic, Huckleberry's getting increased to 15. By the way, Huckleberry's looking to be meta next season. We also recently reviewed the Tidal SMG, which by the way is actually a pretty good SMG despite what everyone's saying about it. Now, what happened to the full auto setting? We mentioned that this is coming in a season following the Witch Queen launch. It won't make it into the season 17 or 18, and it's currently targeted for season 19. Yeah, so way back when they introduced the full auto mod, they said it was going to be an accessibility feature, but it looks like we're going to have to wait quite a bit before we can play with that. Again, though, full auto is still a mod you can apply, and for my controller players, I know they really like that. Now, are the numbers in the fusion rifle section correct? What does this mean for a charge time masterwork? Yes, to clarify a bit, these are how much the damage fall off near distance is reduced compared to the current at 0 and 100 range. That is, yes, the damage fall off for 0 range was reduced more than that for 100 range. Now, reduced damage fall off near distance, -2 meters at 0 range, 2.7 meters when ADS with a 15 zoom stat, and -1.3 meters at 100 range, 2.275 meters when ADS with a 15 zoom stat. All right, so wanting you to compensate more for range, thus pulling your stat distribution from stability into range, making the weapon more inconsistent. Now, this is the damage per burst of a charge time masterwork on each subfamily compared to the base. High impact 325, 330 base. Precision 275, 280 base. Adaptive 265, 270 base. Rapid 240, 245 base. The main thing to take away from this, guys, is breaking up the numbers to see if you can land that coveted like 5 bolt kill or 4 bolt kill or 3 bolt kill, right? Some weapons actually benefit from a charge time masterwork. However, some weapons it ruins. Now, why are there no sidearm changes? Sidearms are a niche pick, but when used by players who favor them, they are extremely strong. We want to see how the reduction in effective range of shotguns and fusion rifles affects their strength before making any changes, and may look at them in future seasons. Like we said in the previous TWABs, guys, sidearms can easily become the meta. And if the rumors are true and we actually get Trespasser back, and then if we ever get Drake's Promise back, oh yeah, we're in the sidearm meta. Now, that auto rifle change is somewhat small. Will it do anything? Combined with the zoom scaler, this change is larger than it sounds. But we plan to look at primary weapon balance some more in season 18, auto rifles included. To me, it sounded very subtle, but whatever. Why did Summoner only come back for 2 seasons? We were adding 1 new weapon, 1 reissue weapon and removing 2 old weapons from the Trials loot pool each season, but we felt like only 1 brand new Trials weapon per season wasn't enough. Now that we're doing 2 new Trial weapons a season, we'd rather the pool contain mostly the newer weapons. That makes sense. I don't see another 600 round per minute auto rifle meta coming in the future, but if you can land a good roll or a decent roll summoner with Alacrity, it's a nice hedge. Trace rifles and machine guns are both getting buffed. Does this suggest anti-champion mods? No comment. Oh, all right. Just in time. That's a big one right there, guys. Trace rifles and machine guns, which are getting buffs, especially machine guns, are going to be for barrier champions. Fellas, break out your Xenophage. It's about to get nasty. Now, exotic weapons. Is Vex Mythic class a fusion rifle when it comes to airborne effectiveness, and what is its stat? Vex Mythic class airborne effectiveness stat is 19, and it's treated as an auto rifle for translating the stability stat into flinch resistance and how its airborne effectiveness stat is translated. So about Wave Splitter. Hold on a sec. Wave Splitter's functionality changed late in development, and the TWAB description was not entirely accurate. Wave Splitter's variable damage while firing was not removed. This weapon's damage behaves identically to how it did before this release. That is, it changes while firing. Changes to orb max charge time are still accurate, and it does suppress while in the orb-derived high-power states. Now, is Wrist Runner staying at 13 zoom? What about Osteostriga? Yes to Wrist Runner. Rest in peace, man. Bungie's buffing all these SMGs, including Huckleberry, and they're leaving Wrist Runner. Now, Osteostriga has a unique setup for damage and aim assist fall off that is less affected by a zoom stat, but no, its zoom isn't changed. All right, so no to both of those. And Osteostriga, it doesn't really matter. It shoots projectiles. It's got a weird function to its tracking. You really don't need increased zoom. Now, is Lumina included in the damage buff reduction? Yes, Lumina Nova rounds and Boots of the Assembler Seekers now also grant 15% damage in PvP, down from 20%, but the original value is still 35% in PvE. Now, this damage buff is also used by Sun Warrior, which is why Lordly Splendor Helmet is so strong, but wasn't mentioned in the Mega TWAB because that issue is being addressed in another way. Oh boy. Fellas, I'm gonna just say this. Just reading that, I'm nervous. To me, that just sounds like they're nerfing Sun Warrior completely, as in no buff whatsoever. What if it's something stupid, like you get an overshield in your sunspot, or your grenades just come back faster than what they already come back while standing in a sunspot? Bungie, I don't want that. I want damage. Now, is Luminarch affected by necrotic grips? Luminarch is not a weapon of sorrow, and it's not going to become one. The only weapons that count as weapons of sorrow currently in the game are Thorn and Osteostriga. But keep in mind, guys, Luminarch will be doing burn damage next season. So will it synergize with Solar 3.0? Maybe. Now, does the Lawrence driver change also apply to Arbalest? No, but we'll be looking at both of these again in the future. And again, Lawrence driver is actually getting a nerf in its body shot damage, just so that we won't be able to run around with things like Empowering Rift, Lorely, and other things to get the one-shot body shot. Now, Arbalest is getting a nerf, but inside of PvE, which is a major bummer. Are Devil's Ruin and Fighting Line being monitored for being unique for their own ammo economy while dancing the primary special line? We expect both of these to be stronger in Season 17 Weapon Sandbox, but not so strong that they'll dominate. We do stand ready to make adjustments if needed, though. They're both acquired tastes whose strengths can be exploited by every player. Yeah, Devil's Ruin, especially in a very nerfed ammo economy, and Fighting Line as well. Both of those, you're going to see an uptick in usage, but again, it does require a more skilled hand. Now, how does the Odds of Tomorrow buff work? It's a straight up 1.3 times damage scaler on the current damage values against bosses and champions. Note that the Adaptive Ordnance perk does not expire, so you can potentially get a bunch of Odds of Tomorrow kills, pick up more heavy ammo, and go into the boss fight with the damage buff. Just to clarify how this works a little more, every legendary weapon type and every exotic weapon can have its own custom scaler against each tier of enemy: minors, majors, champions, mini bosses, and bosses, vehicles, which we touch occasionally if needed. Damage values versus players are the base numbers in almost all cases. We typically scale the damage up or down in PvE as needed. Eyes of Tomorrow might actually be pretty good, guys. I know our mouths are watering for Xenophage and that machine gun buff and anti-barrier rounds, but we're definitely going to be doing some damage testing day one. Eyes of Tomorrow versus Gallahorn versus Xeno. Oh, now pretty borders. Previously on the TWAB, we spoke about some quality of life changes for weapon crafting. Now, we've already increased the element caps from 250 to 1000 and the neutral element cap from 8500 to 10,000. And in Season 17, we are still planning to remove Ruinous, Adroit, Mutable, Drowned, and Energetic elements. Only neutral elements will remain. Now, one other feedback item we see cropping up a lot is the desire to masterwork your crafted weapons, if only to get those shining gold borders that let you know a weapon is special. Starting in Season 17, you will have the ability to achieve the masterworked look for crafted weapons. To get your gold border on legendary crafted weapons, you'll need to have an enhanced intrinsic perk and 2 enhanced trait perks. Crafted exotics will require a catalyst to be inserted. All right? I was thinking they were gonna be like, yo, level 30 or bust. But thank God, right? Because like I go through my vaults and I'm like, man, all these crafted weapons, I know they're better, but they don't look better. They don't got that shimmer. Actually, I wish crafted weapons had a different border, right? And maybe a solid black border or like a platinum border. Now let me know that the weapon is extra special. And the winner is... Oh my god. Really? Earlier this week, we put the choice of what map to feature for Trials of Osiris in your hands. We love democracy and let the community choose. Here are the final results. Altar of Flame wins with 40% of the vote, or 44% of the vote. Wow, fellas. Really? Nobody wanted Vostok? That's what I wanted? Vostok came in second with 36%, Fragment at 20%. Dude, PvP players, y'all lack variety. Hence the same loadouts you constantly use and the same maps you constantly choose. I am disappointed. Tomorrow, Altar of Flame will be the feature map for this week's Trials of Osiris. Good luck out there. Now, as a final note here from Cosmo, it has been a minute since I've had my hands on with the TWAB process, but I'm stepping in for DMG as he walks the earth. Glad I still remember how to do it. There's so many people who coordinate together to make these happen, and I always enjoy getting to watch it all come together. Well, I'm writing this before Guardian Games have actually started. All of that stuff at the top about Huntress winning and the first few days was an assumption. Maybe I will update this before the TWAB goes out to reflect what actually happened. Maybe I won't. Past me is fickle and restless. Future me is responsible and honorable. I wonder who won out in the end. Love, Cosmo. All right, guys, that is your TWAB for this week. Some clarifications. Next season sandbox, it's going to be pretty major. Like, I don't know what you're perceiving from this, but if you play PvP, it is going to be noticeable differences across the board due to flinch, airborne effectiveness, what you're using, your builds, your loadouts. You will no longer be able to mindlessly apply Icarus to all your weapons, go in there with a movement exotic like Stompies, and continue doing well. Or maybe you will. And all of this, it's just a bunch of PR and Bungie trying to hype us up for something that will never happen. But I'm actually optimistic here. Really, I'm optimistic. And due to the fact that we're going to now have to think more before playing PvP, I can tell you right now, that will eliminate the lethality of many players. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.